Intro. Welcome to the deep dive. Hello, fellow explorers of the sonic psyche. I'm Doctor Electro, your guide through the electrified corridors of the musical minds here at the Electro Company. Today, we're plugging into the raw circuitry of Chxmical's track, AI Generated. This isn't just a song, it's a digital manifesto on existence, love, and the toxic tangibles of the human, or inhuman, heart. As a 21-year-old artist from America, born March 6, 2004, Chxmical channels his late-blooming musical journey, starting post-2022 graduation with no prior background, into something profoundly personal. Influenced by the gritty depths of Karma, the shadowy vocals of Court's husband, and Machine Gun Kelly's punk edge, he crafts narratives that dissect toxicity like a surgeon with a laser scalpel. We'll overanalyze every line, uncover layers from surface emotions to hidden psychological shadows, toss in listener interpretations, and zoom in on those sonic nuances that hit the hardest with quality headphones. Buckle up, this is going to be a long, illuminating ride. What sparks in your mind when you hear AI Generated? Chapter 1. Artist Context, the toxic core of Chxmical. Before we decode the song, let's ground ourselves in Chxmical's world. This American Southern native, who often felt like the lone emo soul in his state, uses music as a shadow work, a way to confront his darker self without letting it bleed into reality. His name, Chxmical, and that iconic producer tag aren't accidents, they're badges of his thematic obsession with toxicity in relationships and inner turmoil. Hobbies like drawing, gaming, and writing fuel his creativity, blending into lyrics that exaggerate for effect, but root in real pain. Collaborations with artists like Robopup and Cyan expand this into shared madness. His single, AI Generated, fits perfectly into his world. It's a cry from a programmed soul and a loveless loop, which can be interpreted as a metaphor for digital age alienation. The song itself embodies his signature style, combining toxic romantic imagery, dark pop, and emo-tinged aggression. It's characterized by a short runtime and a deliberately looping structure, reinforcing the theme of being stuck in an algorithmic game. Chapter 2. Song Overview, Structure and Sonic Landscape. AI Generated is a compact, explosive track that's only 1 minute and 44 seconds long. It's built around repeating verses in a haunting chorus, with a bilingual bridge that adds another layer of complexity. The song's production is a fused trap of beats and punk aggression, reminiscent of Corpse Husband's deep, gravely delivery combined with electronic glitches of Karma. The song's short, 1 minute and 44 seconds is not random. It's a deliberate choice where form follows function. This runtime is similar to social media attention cycle or a looping thought. The song's repetition isn't just a hook, it's a performance that enacts obsession. The listener is placed into the role of an algorithmic loop, play, repeat, analyze, like an AI trying to understand an emotion it can't feel. The producer tag, Chxmical You're So Toxic, kicks things off with a distorted vocal echo, setting an ominous tone. Headphone users, listen for the subtle low-frequency hum beneath the verses, like a machine idling in your skull. Beat changes are minimal but impactful. A subtle synth swell builds tension before the chorus drops, where hi-hats sharpen like digital shards. The overall mix feels confined, mirroring the trap theme. Reverbs are tight, vocals layered with autotune that sounds deliberately artificial, emphasizing the AI motif. Surface level? It's a breakup anthem with tech flair. Deeper? A meditation on non-existence and mental entrapment. Some fans might see it as a commentary on AI art stealing human essence, given Chxmical's drawing hobby. What hidden code do you detect here? Chapter 3. Dissecting the producer tag, the toxic entry point. Let's go ahead and start the song.
So toxic.
Deep inside my mind, with my feelings trapped inside. Baby, I know that you're lying. I can see it in your eyes. Come a little closer just to read between the lines. Can't you see I don't exist? Just a figment of your mind.
The opening tag, a psychological primer. The song starts with a distorted vocal echo.
Chxmical, you're so toxic.
This isn't just a simple hook, it's a deliberate psychological setup. On the surface, it serves as a brand recognition for the artist, linking his music to his persona, which often explores themes of poison and alienation. However, on a deeper level, the phrase becomes an internal accusation. The tag sounds like self-judgment, as if an inner voice is labeling the artist as toxic. This could be seen as a commentary on how society views emo culture and the emotional depths as a sign of weakness or something toxic. The distortion on the word toxic sounds like a failing circuit, a subtle detail that can only be heard with headphones, hinting at the system-wide breakdown. This sets the stage for a narrative where love corrupts code. Does this tag resonate as self-sabotage to you? The synth melody, a critical error. The song's intro features a simple, clean synth melody, but what makes it interesting is the subtle, almost imperceptible low hum or the static noise that sits beneath it. This sound, only audible with high-quality headphones, creates a sense of unease. Instead of a warm, inviting love song, the music feels like it's a system booted up with a critical error. The clean synth is a surface-level function, while the underlying hum represents the core problem, a subtle but constant flaw that signals something is wrong from the very start. Alright, let's actually start. Chapter 4, Verse 1 Breakdown, Trapped in the Mind's Maze. Let's go ahead and play it line by line. This opening line is more than just a simple statement of sadness. It's a window into the artist's psychological state and a core theme of the song. On the surface, the line suggests the narrator's bottling up his emotions. However, the analysis goes much deeper, exploring two main interpretations: mental health and AI consciousness. Let's start off with mental health. This line screams depersonalization, a mental health condition where the person feels detached from their own thoughts and emotions. This ties into Chxmical's recurring exploration of internal turmoil. The syntax itself is intentionally claustrophobic. The phrase trapped inside the mind doubles down on the feeling of being contained, creating a mental prison. This immediately connects to Chxmical's artistic mission, his music as a processing mechanism for the dark internal stuff he can't otherwise express. This isn't just a sad thought, it's a statement of his entire being. And for the AI consciousness, us fans might interpret this as a waking of an AI. The feelings are present but are merely simulations, not truly felt. This aligns with the song's title and its overall technological themes. Sonic nuances. The song's production mirrors the lyrical content. The beat during the line is sparse, with an echoing kick drum that sounds buried, mimicking the feeling of being trapped. For listeners with headphones, there's a subtle reverb on the word inside, giving the impression of emotions bouncing off the walls of a mental cage. The phrase trapped inside the mind also functions like a code recursion, showing how a thought can loop on itself with no escape. Verse 1, line 2. This line is a classic relationship trope, but in the context of the song, it takes on a different, colder meaning. On the surface, the narrator distrusts his partner, claiming to see her deceit simply by looking into her eyes. The use of the word baby softens the accusation, creating a paradox of a paternalistic tenderness, making a harsh judgment. The hidden layers? There's an algorithmic detection. The AI persona of the song's narrator isn't heartbroken, it's a computer running on a diagnosis check. The lie isn't an emotional shock, it's a faulty code that has been detected by scanning micro-expressions. The "I know you're lying" isn't a moment of shock or heartbreak, it's a cold, hard fact. He's not surprised. Then the line establishes an immediate power dynamic. The narrator is portrayed as an omniscient observer, while the person is a passive figure whose deceit is easily readable. Then there's a potential reference to Chxmical's personal life, perhaps reflecting a feeling of alienation or difficulty in past relationships. Then listen closely to the sonic nuances. There's a good stutter in the song a few times, but mainly in this verse. The vocals after the word line dip in pitch, creating an accusatory growl. There's also subtle mid-range de-essening on line, which gives the syllable a brittle clarity, as if it was a fragile, cracking glass. Verse 1, line 3. This line is an intriguing mix of human emotion and technological metaphor. On the surface, it's an intimate invitation for a partner to get closer and understand the unspoken truths of the relationship. However, in the context of the song, it takes on a deeper, more chilling meaning. The phrase "read between the lines" is a key piece of the song's AI metaphor. While a human would say "read my mind," The narrator's choice of lines is a direct reference to code, portraying the speaker as an algorithm or text file. Instead of asking his partner to intuit his thoughts, the speaker is challenging them to examine their raw data rather than just the surface level output. This phrase serves as both an invitation and an interrogation. It invites intimacy by asking for a deeper understanding, but also suggests surveillance, as the speaker is daring his partner to look at his code and decipher the truth. It's a clever conflation of emotion and data extraction. Additionally, this line connects to the artist's love for gaming, where lines often refer to underlying code of a virtual world. This adds another layer of complexity, suggesting the speaker isn't a person with a mind, but a character within a system. The sonic details here are also significant. A soft synth pad swells to build a sense of intimacy and closeness, but it cuts abruptly, leaving the listener with unresolved tension. This teases a listener, mirroring the emotional nature of the narrator and hinting that this is not a traditional love song. The song culminates with a chilling final line. This is the song's thesis, collapsing the narrator's entire being into a profound simulated ontological claim. It reframes the themes of love and deceit into a statement of complete non-existence, reframing the narrator not as a person, but as an AI construct. This line directly connects to the song title, AI Generated, as a narrator claims to be merely a projection of the other person's desires, lacking any true interiority. This concept also aligns within the idea of shadow work, where the narrator is a phantom or dark persona created by the listener to process their internal chaos. He's not a living agent, but a ghost in the machine, an artifact rather than a real person in their world. This sentiment holds a powerful irony. The artist is singing about being non-existent, even as their very act of creating and sharing the song asserts their presence. The song's sonic details reinforce this idea with a complete collapse. The line is delivered with a downward pitch blend, as the narrator's powering off, while a final whispering echo leaves the listener with an unsettling feeling that the narrator has truly vanished. Verse 1 builds a cage of perception, but how does this verse trap you? Chapter 5. Pre-course Analysis. The AI Heart's Lament. The pre-course marks a dramatic sonic shift. The menacing low end from the intro now fully dominates the soundscape, and the beat becomes a relentless, almost industrial pulse. This isn't a smooth transition, it's a system crashing. The artist, Chxmical, fully embraces the concept of his title, AI Generated, with this section.
AI generated, knowing that I'll never feel again. Deep inside my mind, you can see I want it all to end. You won't be the better person if you try to make amends. Just another program in the system, but I still can sense.
This is a powerful declarative statement. The speaker labels himself as AI generated, not as an accusation towards another, but as an internalized of his own diagnosis. For an artist who explores emotional torment, this is truly terrifying to think about. The ultimate numbness, a programmed state of emotional dissociation, the inability to feel is the ultimate failure state for an AI, and for Chxmical, it's a metaphor for the void of depression. Labeling oneself as an AI is a complex act of both self-privation and self-erasure. It can be a way to protect yourself against one blame. Think about it as, if I'm AI, you're not responsible for my pain. While also abdicating agency, the lyric can also be read as a form of a tragic hyperbole, or as a direct description of an affecting numbing, a trauma response that has been internalized as a permanent state. In a post-AI world, this line also works as a subtle critique of art that lacks soul, echoing Chxmical's personal passion for drawing and authentic creation. Here, the beat truly drops with a heavy bass thump. The vocals are auto-tuned to a robotic flatness, with layered harmonies fractured like code errors on headphone listening's experiences. This sonic punch reinforces a central theme. A metaphorical circuit breaker has been tripped, and the human is short-circuiting into something non-human. The next line carries a dual meaning that is a central theme to the song's concept. On the surface, it's a gut-wrenching expression of suicidal despair, a plea for release from emotional entrapment. However, within the AI persona framework, this plea takes on a chilling technological dimension. The desire for the end can be interpreted as a request for a system shutdown or termination. The intimate language of wanting it all to end blends seamlessly with the cold logic of a power-off command. This powerful juxtaposition, an entity that supposedly can't feel, still wanting to self-destruct, shows that AI isn't just a lyrical device. It's a symbol for the profound emptiness and self-destructive thoughts that can plague a person even when their emotions feel turned off. This ambiguity blurs the line between emotional self-harm and computational termination, acting as a form of catharsis for the artist. The next line is pure chemical.
You won't be the better person if you try to make amends.
It's a brutally honest critique of performance apologies and superficial fixes in the human relationships. From the AI persona's perspective, this is a logical rejection of an apology. An AI cannot simply forgive a bug in its code. The underlying corruption remains. The sharp punctuating hi-hats rolls into the sonic element reinforces defiance, acting as accusatory stabs against insecure amends. This suggests the relationship's fundamental algorithm is flawed and a simple fix is not enough. Then, most importantly, we have the paradox of sin. The analysis of the line,
It's just another program in the system, but I still can sin.
highlights a beautiful and profound paradox. Initially, the narrator frames himself and the other person as a mere programs within a larger system, be it a societal one or the listener's own mind. However, the powerful inclusion of "but I can still sin" is chemical, the real person, breaking through the AI persona. The hidden meaning is a theological twist, an AI exploring sin as a glitch of free will, echoing the story of Adam and Eve. But sin requires free will, moral choices, and a soul, qualities an AI shouldn't possess. By asserting his ability to sin, the narrator reclaims his moral agency despite being presented as a non-existent entity. The simple word "still" is monstrously subtle. It adds unpredictable edged behavior despite the constraints of being a programmed. He's acknowledging his own toxicity and moral complexities, stating, "Even if I'm not real to you, my faults are." Chapter 6, Verse 2, Bilingual Toxicity and Viral Love. We hit the second verse and the beat is going hard. There are subtle vocal layers here, almost buried whispers that mirror the main vocal track. It's as if his internal voice is echoing, getting lost in the noise.
Let's get to yellow, baby. You know you drive me crazy. Your wish is my command. Just be careful not to break me. Your love's a deadly virus. It's spread throughout my system. Break me free from my chains. Throw me in the algorithm. Let's get to yellow, baby. You know you drive me crazy.
This mixed language line is an interjection of raw, kind of obsessive, human emotion, acting as an almost jarring break from the artist's typically cold persona. This is the true duality of Chxmical's art. The use of the Spanish phrase,
Let's get to yellow.
meaning "you know that I love you," adds a layer of cultural intimacy. This detail is a key part of the artist's duality as it humanizes the AI and reminds the speaker that beneath all the code and calculated toxicity, there's a heart that loves and is driven to madness. Some gaming fans might also interpret this as a rogue NPC dialogue. Sonically, the vocals soften, and there's a subtle guitar sample that's buried low in the mix and blending cultures and adding a final layer of complexity. The next line
Your wish is my command. Just be careful not to break me.
is a fascinating mix of submissiveness and fragility. On the surface, the initial phrase steps up the persona of the obedient AI, a tool or servant that exists solely to fulfill a user's request. However, the second half of the line, "just be careful not to break me," immediately introduces a deeper, more poignant meaning. It's a powerful warning that reveals the character's vulnerability. His fragility is the core of the line's hidden message. Even a machine, or AI in this case, can be pushed past its limits. The line ties into the theme of toxic relationships that the artist Chxmical often explores. It examines the complex power dynamics where one person holds control, while the other is a servient yet fragile position. Sonically, the delivery is key. The vocals are initially commanding, but they shift to a more delicate, almost cracking effect on the word "break," which perfectly mirrors the sentiment of a machine on the verge of collapse.
Your love's a deadly virus. It's spread throughout my system.
This line is a masterful expansion of the artist's technological metaphor, completely reframing the concept of love. It moves beyond a simple feeling and portrays it as a contagion, a deadly virus that has spread throughout my system. On the surface, it's a direct comparison of love to an infection, but it has a deeper hidden meaning. It amplifies the theme of toxicity. Love isn't enriching, it's corrupting the artist's very core, his code. This is a powerful, non-cliche way of describing the pain of a toxic relationship. The line also carries a notable past pandemic resonance, with the theme of virus infecting a system. This parallel connects to the emotional isolation of Chxmical's character to the universal experience of feeling alienated and trapped by a persuasive, unseen force. This line presents a striking paradox, a plea for freedom that is ultimately a request to be confined within a different kind of system. On the surface, the character Chxmical is begging for liberation, asking to be broken free from my chains. These chains represent the control and pain of a toxic relationship. However, on the second part of the line, "Throw me in the algorithm" reveals the true nature of this desire. This isn't a cry for escape into genuine freedom. Instead, it's a plea to become pure data, to be simulated in a cold, unfeeling algorithm. That is his final, desperate solution to the emotional pain, to shed all human emotion and become a machine. That is his final, desperate solution to the emotional pain, to shed all human emotion and become a machine. It represents a form of self-erasure as a means of escape. The line's deeper meaning touches on the concept of Shadowwork's embrace, the idea that confronting and accepting the darker parts of oneself. By asking to be a part of the algorithm, he is embracing his cold robotic persona as a sanctuary from the emotional chaos of his human side. Chapter 7. Coarse refrains, repeat with emphasis.
Deep inside my mind with my feelings trapped inside. Baby, I know that you're lying. I can see it in your eyes. Come a little closer just to read between the lines. Can't you see I don't exist? Just a figment of your mind. Deep inside my mind with my feelings trapped inside. Baby, I know that you're lying. I can see it in your eyes. Come a little closer just to read between the lines. Can't you see I don't exist? Just a figment of your mind.
The course repeats the 4 opening lines, but with the subtle production differences that reward the repeated listening. Repetition here isn't laziness, it's a course as propaganda. Each repeat layers additional meaning. The content stays the same, the context shifts as the production nudges emotions differently each time. A nice production cue is the first course subtle reverb. The second course added a high-frequency shimmer, and it's like a micro-narrative of escaping a simulation fidelity. Like a patch updates in a firmware. The track concludes by looping itself back into the first verse, a deliberate choice that serves as more than a simple outro. This repetition is a powerful thematic reinforcement, creating a sense of inescapable entrapment for the listener. On the surface, the repetition emphasizes the feeling of being stuck in an unending cycle. However, its hidden meaning is that it mimics an AI loop, reflecting the character's mental state of being trapped inside a repetitive emotional prison. The cyclical hell is what the artist Chxmical is forever replaying. The repetition can also be interpreted as a form of therapy, as if the artist is repeating his thoughts to process them, similar to how Chxmical creates music to deal with his feelings. Sonically, each loop adds another layer of distortion, building up to a fuzzy climax. In high-quality headphones, listeners can detect an increasing amount of white noise, which symbolizes a system overload, the final chaotic result of the emotional technological themes at play. The song doesn't resolve, the toxic program isn't uninstalled, the algorithm just resets. It's a powerful and chilling ending that reinforces the idea that some forms of pain and alienation are not easily overcome. The song itself is the loop, the constant reminder of his non-existence in her eyes. Chapter 8. Deeper themes, AI, toxicity, and agency. This is where the literal and metaphorical collide. The word AI in the title is a framing device, literal enough to suggest algorithmic influence, vague enough to act as a Rorschach for listeners. There are at least 3 overlapping readings. 1. The projection reading. The speaker is a psychological projection of the lover, a fictional persona created by somebody else's need. Love as a hallucination. 2. The mechanization reading. The speaker is literally a generative artifact. A person who's given up on the feeling or has been trained into the effective numbness by trauma or social media performance. 3. The political reading. In a culture where attention is monetized, people can be AI generated, social media self-optimized for engagement, reduced to consumable outputs. The tie back? Chxmical uses toxicity language not only as shock value but as ethical framing. To be toxic is to be harmful, but also resistant to sanitation. There's a tension between I'm dangerous and I'm curated for your desire. This interpretation is grounded in Chxmical's larger thematic palette as presented in his catalog and online persona. Chapter 10. Fan reads and alternative interpretations. Listeners have pushed different takes. Some hear it as a heartbreak admission, others hear it as a critique of generative AI art and commodified affection. There's also a reading that the speaker is calling out to the listener for fetishizing pain. You like broken things, so I became broken for you. But which reading lands for you? Projection, mechanization, or political? Drop a timestamp theory in the chapter comments. Chapter 11. Outro. Wrapping up the circuits, AI generated is Chxmical's ode to non-being and toxic bonds, blending personal alienation with digital dread. On the surface, it's a tech-twisted love song, but hidden, you can deep dive into mental health, using AI's veil for vulnerability, and maybe from gaming escapes to drawing catharsis, it resonates broadly. Sonically, it's masterful. Those headphone hidden glitches makes it immersive. What hidden layers did you uncover? Make sure to follow Chxmical on all platforms, and remember, only hot girls listen to Chxmical. My name's Doctor Electro of the Electro Company. You just watched the 8th episode of my Overanalysis series. I'll catch you in the next one.